Back to another Who Would Win. So this week, I'm going big this week. It's the Superman of their respective universes, Marvel and DC. Superman, the Man of Steel, and Sentry, as Hulk once put him, the Golden Man. Cosmic Protector, Blondie, I don't know. I don't know if Sentry actually has an actual, title to him. But these two are pretty much the most powerful beings in their respective universes. Sans maybe Darkseid and Thanos and all that stuff. But, I know people have talked about which one of these guys would win before, but then again, they've done the same thing with the other videos I've done, so why not? And this is one of the few opponents I could think of for Superman who, can go not only toe-to-toe, might be able to beat him. But let's get into the actual fight. So, Superman's list of abilities, God knows, it's a laundry list, but he's got the key ones. Super strength, super durability, super speed, flight, those are all up there. He's capable of lifting, I got my list of information right here. He's capable of lifting roughly, and this is lifting strength, mind you, minimum 6.6 quintillion tons. Now, in Superman, what was that? All-Star Superman, that's it. He got exposed to the sun. He was lifting 200 quintillion tons. It was I think 3 times his record, which means if you do the math, it's not that hard to do the math on that. It's roughly 66. Let's say it's roughly 65, 66. It's 66.6, give or take. In terms of the amount of weight he was pushing with one arm. But that was with one arm. So we'll say for right now his standard record is 66.6 quintillion tons. That's a ton, people. So yeah, that's a lot. He can fly roughly 1.5 billion miles an hour traveling speed while, fighting. Because that was when Max Lord timed him with Wonder Woman. And in case you're wondering where I got it, yeah, I got some of this from the Death Battle between Goku versus Superman. Hey, they did their math on at least his right. And those are, distinctly written down. So, yeah, if I've got actually statistics to go to, I'm going to find a way to get the statistics for it. And his durability, he can survive roughly at least 10 octillion megatons. That's a lot. It is a very big lot. And then, of course, we've got his laundry list of abilities. He's got his ice breath. He's got his heat vision. He's got... he can travel through, he can vibrate his molecules to near, just under light speed, use a the infinite mass punch, which is a planet buster. He can destroy a planet. He's done things like hold a black hole in his hand. He can patch holes in reality with static electricity. Again, inconsistent writing over the years, but generally speaking, he's Superman. And his powers are derived, as we all know, from the yellow sun. Yellow sun radiation is what powers him. And, he can get stronger the longer the closer he is to a yellow sun. Even being inside will make him kind of godlike. Or, he can effortlessly move a planet. But he's got a standard weakness to red sun energy. It will decrease his energy. That's why Krypton, none of the Kryptonians were flying around or anything like that. It's because they had a red sun. And blue sunlight will actually double his power, actually. Blue sunlight has a similar effect it had yellow, except it's overtime on yellow, from what I understand. It's quite interesting how blue sunlight affects Superman. But, as I said, red sunlight, red kryptonite, all that stuff. And going into the kryptonites, he's severely weak to kryptonite, obviously. Green light kryptonite drains his solar energy, makes him feel sick, and actually replaces it with red kryptonite, red solar energy, basically, and it can kill him over enough exposure. He's got no special immunity to magic, and he has many mental barriers. He's actually very mentally fortified. He's got many. He actually has a martial art. I'm not going to bother pronouncing it, but he's got a martial art that can actually prevent, mind control. He has been mind controlled before. He is actually not invincible in terms of his mental stability. He's extremely powerful in terms of his mental resistance, but he's not invincible. He's learned pressure points from Batman. He knows a Kryptonian martial art that puts him in a theta state, makes him more receptive to, his physical surroundings. And he's a super genius. I wouldn't say super genius, but he's basically a genius. He's got genius level intellect up the yin yang. And then, of course, you could go with a laundry list of other powers, but we're going with a modern day interpretation of Superman. So he's he's the brick shit house of the DC universe. Only characters in DC universe who really come close to just matching him as the physical god that he is physical gods. Doomsday is one of them, but in recent interpretations, Doomsday couldn't take Superman anymore. Darkseid could still take Superman, though. Darkseid is still one of the only characters who was capable of taking on Superman. Cosmic entities, magical beings, they all are capable of maybe taking down Superman. And I'm saying maybe. Magical ones, it's iffy. He's beaten magical beings before. Shazam's one of the people, and Black Adam, sorry. I was going to say Captain Marvel, but he's been retconned to Shazam. And they're capable of beating him. So he's not invincible. Superman is not invincible. And then you get into his personality. I said this in the Batman vs. Superman one, so I'm not going to go on the too bit of a talk about his personality. Superman, he holds back because he doesn't want to threaten the planet he lives on. He does try to go for the whole negotiation, talk things out before fighting. And while he can strategize. I did make an error originally in my Batman vs. Superman one, though I still stand by my statement in the Batman Superman one, how that fight would have ended and all that, and what I thought it would go down. Check that video out if you care about my opinion on that at all. That he actually is a bit of a strategist. He will strategize if he sees a weakness in an opponent. But that being said, when negotiation fails, he will usually go for the punching, more or less. And while he does no pressure points, he has a bit of fighting degree. He's actually not the most skilled fighter when you actually look at what Superman does. I mean, he'll strategize, I'm going to plug this up, or I found your weakness, boom, okay, there you go. No, he's more just punch, punch, block, punch, punch, boom, boom. I don't recall, and again, correct me if I'm wrong in this, I don't recall him ever really getting into a skilled battle of, fisticuffs here, like an actual fight like Batman would get into, like an opponent who's capable of martial arts and things like that. I don't think I've ever seen him really fight in terms of an actual strategist, more just punch, punch, block, punch, punch. Wait, it doesn't work punching there. Let's try punching here. Laser beam? No? Okay, punch, punch. There's got to be something. Boom. Oh. I don't see him really, strategically the fighting type. So, and again, if you know of something that's different, let me know, please. Also, I think I said this before, he's arrogant a little bit. And when I mean arrogant, I don't mean he's I'm so much better than you. It's that he knows he's actually more powerful than just about everyone on the planet and a lot of beings in the universe. And no matter how you splice that knowing you're that strong and, holding back and kind of sometimes underestimating your opponent for that is a bit of an ego, is a bit of a weakness. But when the world's in trouble or something like that, hindsight's 2020, he will break the chain and be like, okay, let's do this. So, I mean, there's a laundry list of other things I can go with Superman, but that's just the stuff for right now with Superman. Now, Sentry's a little different. Sentry is actually human. I believe I got that. Robert Reynolds is I got the thing up here so I can reference just in case. Robert Reynolds was a scientist who actually injected himself with a super soldier serum of some kind. It's considered 1,000 times more powerful than the Caps, I think was the description. And that turned him into the Sentry. Now, it's been debated on what the Sentry of where his powers actually come from. If he's more like a cosmic being, or maybe they've even said maybe his powers possibly came from the Judeo-Christian God. His abilities are on the biblical proportions. So we don't really know anything about what Sentry truly is. All we know is Sentry is my God, powerful. Now, I have no actual records of his feats in terms of what's his maximum lifting strength or anything. I have on a record, though, that he's done things such as lift a helicarrier with a little assistance. That's still pretty heavy. He's prevented the Celestial XR from crushing the Earth by lifting his foot, again, with the help of an empowered rogue. He's effortlessly defeated and break the hand... Effortlessly defeat... Lifting his foot, effortlessly... that's poor. That's shoddy grammar. He effortlessly defeated and broke the handle of the axe of Texrax, who was a herald of the Galactus, shown as powerful enough to slice a planet in half. And although at the time the French fought him, his full powers again was not evident. So let's put that into perspective. He effortlessly defeated and broke the handle of an axe of a planet buster, of a planet busting being. He's severely pummeled and tore apart a female Ultron, And he's fought it's been said that he actually fought Galactus to a standstill from Spider-Man. Again, a stalemate to Galactus, who is by almost bar none the most powerful being in the Marvel Universe. Sans maybe Sentry and sans maybe Thanos. And any other overly cosmic being. He fought that guy to a standstill. The guy who eats planets, he fought to a standstill. So we got that just to go with. His speed, he's literally gone from Jupiter to Earth in mere moments. And they distinguished that wasn't a teleportation, which he is capable of doing. That was pure speed. Now, I don't know how fast that is. I do know Jupiter's a bit farther away than the sun, I think, from Earth. I think, actually. That's something I probably should have figured out beforehand. Let me see. Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. Maybe it's not farther than the sun. Might be. It's still. That's speed that on a level that's not to be trifled with. So he's got that going for him. He has energy projectiles, and by that we mean he can. He's capable of light constructs, and not just from his, just in general. He can make constructs, just energy blasts from his eyes. He can create a soothing way to actually calm the Hulk down. He's apparently has an ability called, if I got this right, Genesis Veil. Actually, I can click on this for an actual description of this. Genesis Veil, which is, oh no, wait a minute, Genesis Veil, no, it's actually fascinating. So anyway, it's showing it's okay. Genesis Veil was a character, and apparently he released the planet-destroying energy against that character. That's he's got planet-destroying capabilities. Anyway, he apparently has molecular matter control. He can literally control matter to the molecular level, where it's used to defeat Molecular Man. And he has enough energy to actually overload Absorbing Man, who is just Absorbing Man. He can absorb energy, all those things. So if you can overload Absorbing Man, if you can beat Molecular Man at his own game, if you can manipulate matter, that's not something you mess with. That's just not something you mess with. On a few other notes, he's actually one of the only characters who has been legitly found to be invulnerable. Completely and utterly indestructible / invulnerable. Both S.H.I.E.L.D. and Iron Man have noted that they cannot find a weakness in any way, shape, or form to any sort of physicality at all. He's physically invulnerable. He's actually an extremely powerful telepath, too. He actually wiped out the minds of everyone on Earth to forget he existed at one point. I already went over to super strength. He could wipe out the minds of everyone. I already went over that. Now, he's also, apparently, he can resurrect others with his touch. I don't think that would play in the factor in a fight, but he's physically not only invulnerable, for the times he has died, his body can apparently involuntarily regenerate itself. Can't always. And when the voice in his head called the Void, who I will get to in a little bit, had a conversation with him about that, he said that, this is involuntary. Neither him nor the Void could control that. He can recreate his body after total destruction, which is actually kind of contradictory when you think about it, because it's been stated that he's completely invulnerable, yet he's been destroyed. But that being said, and this is within seconds, by the way, he once tried to commit suicide by flying into the heart of the sun, and that apparently did not work. So that happened. Let me see. Anything else I should go over before I get into a few of the less than great weaknesses of him? I should also state that he's flown through Asgard and destroyed Asgard by flying through Asgard. He destroyed Asgard, folks. Now, let's be clear. He's also his mental stability is probably his biggest weakness. He's always a constant battle with his inner darker side called the Void, which is considered basically a completely separate entity, which, again, I'll get to in just a moment. He's been mentally controlled several times, so he's mentally actually weaker than something like Superman or even everything, which is odd given the fact he has a high degree of telepathy. And he can actually revert to human form. The fight between him and the Hulk They both actually fought to withstand. So Hulk reverted back to Banner. He reverted back to Robert Reynolds, and then Banner knocked him out in human form. So apparently he can revert to human form, but I don't even know the levels of stress it would take to actually do that. It would take a lot to go on for him to do that. Now getting to the Void. The Void is the big wild card in this fight. The Void is more or less his dark side. As I said, it protects the identity of dark side effect of his power. It's been claimed that it's a very, very benevolent act Sentry performs. The Void corresponds by attempting an act of malevolence. The Void is more or less his evil self. He's been possessed by the Void on occasions. It's Norman Osborn referred to him as the Angel of Death, and the Watcher, the guy who watches over everything in the universe, confirms that the Void is the Angel of Death. The Void has been shown to be so powerful as to easily do something as easily decimate the Earth and the Moon, and is something of a cosmic threat, like the level of Phoenix, Thanos, all that stuff. The Void has literally, and when he's in the negative zone, mind you, where is he strongest? Negative zone is like this alternate universe, kind of like the Phantom Zone for Superman. Where's that his strongest? A mere physical assault require just a mere. I like the terminology. A mere physical assault required much effort to hold off, even with the combined force fields of Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and the Invisible Woman, while the united forces of the New Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Inhumans, Illuminati, and heavily armed S.H.I.E.L.D. agents simultaneously attacked. Just to give you an idea of just what you're dealing with the Void, he's actually more or less the reason for bringing down all the entire city of Asgard, striking down every immortal hero simultaneously, killing a Nornstone-powered Loki in seconds. I don't even know what the Nornstone-powered Loki thing was. I assume that powered up Loki extremely, and it killed him in seconds, and even tore the God of War Ares in half. So the Void is something of, more or less, as they described it, the Angel of Death. The Void is horrifying. He usually takes the form of something like a trench coat wearing villain or a massive hurricane of darkness with tendrils. He can control weather with infinite tendrils, and if they strike you, traumatic visions of the past, present, and future will appear to that person. It's frightening how strong the Void is. But that being said, he doesn't want to give in to the Void at all. The Void is his dark side. Though he has given in to the Void's taking him over on occasions. So really, his instability is his biggest upset, his biggest weakness. Now, let's get down to the actual fight. The fight on a neutral ground. I imagine on a neutral ground, Sentry's probably going to see Superman a threat, or Superman's just going to be like, okay, this guy's different, this guy's actually really strong, I can sense that, just get a vibe off him, both with their acute senses. Now, the fight's going to break down, it's probably going to go just to standard fisticuffs first off, and we don't know the limits to the Sentry's strength, but I'm going to probably guess he is probably on par, if not equal to, maybe even a little greater than Superman. We don't know for certain. Now, he's not magically endowed. Sentry, as far as we can tell, is not magically endowed. Divinity-wise, is he divinely empowered? Maybe. We don't know that for certain. He may very well be cosmic empowered, divine empowered. We just don't know. But if we were to just throw it in there, everything we know about him, from the terminology that maybe Norman Osborn used about the Angel of Death, to the theories that maybe he's a cosmic anti-biblical, I'm going to say that maybe he might actually be like biblically, divinely empowered, but I'm not going to hold that to any sort of basis of truth right now. But let's just go for the sake he's either cosmic or biblically empowered. So right there, power. I think I'm going to actually go on a limb saying that Sentry might actually be faster than Superman. Maybe. Now, does it mean if he could do the same? Actually, it might mean he could do the same thing as Superman. He could vibrate his molecules do under light speed and also use a infinite mass punch. So they'll just try to boom, and that's going to counteract and maybe destroy a couple planets. He can breathe in space too, and Superman can also, vibrate his molecules to go intangible, but he can't control matter or anything like that. So that fight's probably going to go on for a little bit, and then they're going to realize they're not getting anywhere. Superman's going to maybe use his heat vision. That's going to hit him and be like, ow. And, I have a feeling he can actually hurt Sentry too, by the way. I don't think Sentry's actually fully invulnerable to someone like himself. So I do think Superman can actually really hurt Sentry, or at least, hurt him anyway. And he'll actually be shocked that someone could actually hurt him. And be like, what the hell? He's been killed before, but it's on weird occasions. Thor's gone up against him a couple times. But it's been weird, so that's going to happen. And then, they'll go back and forth. I don't think Sentry's light constructs or energy blasts are going to hurt Superman very much. I think they could hurt him, but not very much. He'd have no real idea about knowing about his kryptonite weakness or red sun weakness, I don't think, because even if he used telepathy, Superman's, I think, got a strong enough mental barricade that it's not going to be... I think actually he could put up a good fight against Superman mentally, but it's not going to matter. So it's going to be just a back and forth for a while until matter manipulation comes into play. Now, matter manipulation changes the entire... and especially molecule manipulation. Because when Superman takes a hit, his super dense molecular structure and electromagnetic aura, again, thank you, Death Battle, absorbs most of the blow. You change the molecular structure, things change up a bit. Now, will Superman Superman realizes what's going on, will he give him enough time to continue doing that? I don't know. I don't know if he can do that in the midst of battle, if Sentry can. So we'll say for the sake of sakes that if it starts happening, Superman will stop him from doing it. And Sentry's going to realize he's not going to get a chance to do it. Which brings down to who's going to outlast the other. Now, I'll get to the wild card in this in just a minute, but I'm going to say Superman this is going to be a toss-up fight. I think Superman's actually going to win if Sentry reverts back to human form. Because he reverted back to a human form after the fight with the Hulk, and Hulk's not as strong as Superman. So if he reverts to human form, then I'm going to say Superman does win this fight. But if the Void comes into play, I'm sorry. There's few things there's very rarely I'm actually going to ever say this, but Superman wouldn't stand a chance against the Void. Superman honestly would not stand a chance solo against the Void. If Sentry can't beat the Void on his own, generally speaking, Superman can't beat the Void. Again, Sentry's got powers Superman doesn't. Sentry's got light constructions. He's got constructs. He's got energy projections other than laser beams. By the way, freeze breath I don't think would do anything, either with being able to see your soul or anything like that. So, and matter manipulation. If Sentry has trouble with those lists of powers, and Superman doesn't have those powers, I'm sorry, if the Void comes into play, which is possible, the Sentry could revert and lose control to the Void in this fight. It's entirely possible. If the Void comes into play, I got to give it to Sentry/Void at that point, because the Void is a different version of the Sentry. The Void is technically a separate character, but he's an alternate version of the Sentry. So if the Void comes out in the fight, which... given his mental instability and his fight against the Void, it's entirely possible that could happen. That is an actual very plausible scenario. So, if the Void comes into play, Superman loses. I've got no other way to put it this way, because as it's been referred to by the Watcher himself, he is the angel of death. He is a biblical figure of mass destruction and of cosmic portions. He is a threat to the cosmos as a whole. That's something Superman is not. Superman is not a threat to unless you're talking about God Superman, but we're not going into God Superman. And I'm not using Horseman, by the way, Horseman of Death, a Sentry right now. I'm using just the basic interpretations we know of these characters. So yeah, the Void has been considered a cosmic level threat. Superman has not. And that alone kind of demonstrates the difference about it. Not Superman's beaten far more powerful beings than has beaten cosmic level beings, kind of like Lex Luthor. He's beaten when he absorbed all his power, but that's because Lex Luthor was an idiot at that time. He has taken on Darkseid. I don't know many of the cosmic. I'll be honest, I don't know many of the cosmic entities of the DC universe as opposed. I know a lot of the Marvel ones, but I don't know a lot of the DC ones. So I think he's taken on one or two of the embodiments of the Lantern Rings, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I have to give it to the Void/Sentry if the Void gets involved, which again is in a very plausible scenario. But in a non-Void situation where he resists the Void, I have a feeling he's going to end up reverting to Robert Reynolds. So and then Superman's just gonna be like, boom, knockout or pressure point. Boom. So that's what I think is how this fight's going down. So basically, it's a weird way to kind of rate this fight. I'm going to basically put it like this. Superman wins 100% of the time, and, well, maybe not 100% of the time. I think Superman wins about 70% of the time in a non-void situation. But if the void gets involved, because well, let's be clear, if Sentry's matter manipulation, molecule manipulation takes effect long enough on Superman, Superman's got no chance because he's going to alter his molecular structure. One hit, Superman's done. But that being said, I have a feeling Superman normally would not let that happen or go very far. So I'm going to say about 80% of the time Superman 70% of the time. Not 70% of the time. I'm going to say 7 out of 10 then. So 7 out of 10 times Superman wins, but because of Sentry's vast array of powers and our lack of knowing his limits, he could maybe win, and I'm giving that because of mana manipulation. If Void gets involved, I'm going to say it's like a 99% win ratio for the Void with maybe a 1% chance. Because there's always a chance Superman could always come out on top. But it's very slim pickings in that fight. I gotta give it to kind of the Void in that fight almost entirely. But again, with understanding that Superman's beaten foes on similar grounds. But, it's not an easy fight. It's a 99% chance that the Void's going to win that. So yeah, that's my thoughts. 7 out of 10, he beats Sentry normally, but Void gets involved 99% out of the time. Void's going to win, I think. Which, again, I say Void is a part of the Sentry. He coincides with the Sentry. So I count that in this fight. If you don't like that, by all means, you can tell me if you didn't like the fact that I did that. Put in the comments below, let me know. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review at some point. And if you have an idea of who would win you'd want me to do, put that in the comments below too. I look forward to it because I need to think up a list of a few more battles to just have on the roster for later in the future. So thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow for Spy. Oh, man. I'm not looking forward to Spy. I'm not. But hopefully hopefully Jude Law and Jason Statham will at least entertain me. So here's hoping that's going to be good. See you next time.